I was named the captain going into my junior year, taking over the football career of Bobby Boucher. And after winning the national championship last year, we came into this season ranked #1 in the country, with every team trying to beat us. And after being named All-American my freshman and sophomore season, I was pretty much the consensus #1 middle linebacker in the country. And I'd be guaranteed to go in the first round if I decided to declare after this season. Even though we lost a lot of great players on this defense to the draft and graduation, I still felt like we can have the #1 defense in the country again. And I was hoping that our offense would be a little bit better this season than they were last season, but we started this game off with 3 field goals, and it looked like the defense was going to have to carry again, and that's what we were known for, as my teammate would pick it off on this incredible interception and take it all the way back for the first touchdown of the season. We were in control of this game, and the only touchdown that we let up was when I was not on the field because I was exhausted, but we won the game either way and started off 1-0. I wanted to punish dudes. And I had every intention of delivering at least 1 concussion per game. After a relatively close win against a non-SEC opponent last week, I wasn't sure what we were going to do this week against Tennessee. All I knew was the defense was going to do their thing, so as long as the offense put up something on the board, we had a chance. And Tennessee couldn't afford foolish mistakes like this one that ended up in us recovering the fumble and scoring another touchdown. And just before the half, as Tennessee was looking like they were going to get a touchdown on this drive, we'd get an interception killing their momentum, and we're able to convert that into another field goal for a 20-point lead going into the break. Everything was going well up to this point until I heard someone in the crowd say that water sucked. So naturally, I punished their quarterback. I was building the identity of the hardest hitting player in college football history as I finished with double-digit tackles, being one of the most recognizable figures in all of college football. It didn't take long for mama to find out that I was playing foosball. She yelled at me and said that it's the devil, but I didn't care because I was having too much fun Kodak bopping.
I'm in the club bopping with my niggas. Kodak bopping.
And of course our offense was taking advantage of an awful opponent in Eastern Michigan. I forced the quarterback to step up and get sacked on this play, and with more great field position, our offense took advantage again, going up by 14 in the first half, something that I wasn't really used to. I thought they knew not to test me. But I guess I had to just keep on reminding them. And instead of letting Eastern Michigan cut into our lead just before the break, we do a great job on defense of forcing them to a field goal. And those 3 points would be the only 3 points that they would score all game. But ultimately, I was kind of disappointed that we didn't shut out this terrible Eastern Michigan offense. You can't believe any records in the SEC, because even though Mississippi State was 1-3, they were still a very tough opponent. And I did an awful job of trying to get off my block here, which would result in a Mississippi State touchdown. But by the third quarter, we found ourselves up by 3, and this forced fumble would put our offense in great field position. After a big time conversion on 3rd and 7, it looked like we were going to go and put this game away, but you know our offense is going to settle for field goals. That's just what we did. But after we got them the ball back again, they'd convert another 3rd and 7, this time deep into Mississippi State territory, and I was cool with them kicking field goals here because we'd go up by 2 possessions, but we'd score a touchdown, which would essentially put this game on ice. But just to be sure, on this 4th and 5, we'd end all hopes of a comeback, and we were getting ready for a national championship type of game. This was the biggest game of the year, and not just for us, but around the entire country. After we had a bunch of close wins, the voters thought that Florida was more deserving of the #1 spot. So this game was to decide who was the true #1 team in the country. And early on, it was looking like we were gonna run away with this one. We were in complete control of this game from beginning to end, and would end up winning by 2 touchdowns, as Florida would only score 3 points the entire game, and we were still the team to beat. Being in the SEC meant we had another top 25 opponent again this week, this time taking on Ole Miss, who again, I'll always say, got the flyest jerseys in the game. But the pretty jerseys weren't going to keep me distracted for too long, as I'd make the stop on 3rd down, but they would go for it on 4th, and the running back would run through me and carry me for a 1st down. This would lead to them tying it up at 10-all, but our offense would do a great job on 3rd and goal, scoring a touchdown just before the 4th quarter. I wasn't going to let a screen pass mess me up this time around, and after a field goal, we'd end up winning 20-10. It felt like a trap game taking on 5-2 Auburn, because even though they weren't a great team, they were good enough to beat anyone in the country, and those are the most dangerous teams. And going into the 4th quarter, it was just a 3-0 game, as the only points came from a field goal earlier by us. We killed Auburn's momentum with that interception, and the next time they were in our territory with the game on the line, I forced a huge fumble, giving us the ball back, and our quarterback needed to convert this 3rd and 8 because I didn't know if we could stop Auburn one more time. they'd be able to. And after we got deep into Auburn territory, we sealed the game, and I started laughing at these goofy ass Auburn fans. I mean, you want to talk about disrespectful? Who is putting Old Dominion on our schedule? They were 1-7 at this point, and we were the #1 team in the country. So I just know we gave them at least $1 million to schedule this game at home. Money that they truthfully should have been given to me. This team is honestly nothing without this defense. And I'm the captain of the defense, so I might need to talk to the head man and see what's up with a little bit of NIL pay raise. I need to get mama another house in the swamp. And Vicky Valancourt is talking about marriage. Even though she trifling, I might have to do it. I was eating this game. Yum, 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 yum. And I'd finish it off with a couple of big time open field tackles, including this one on 3rd down and another one for a TFL on 3rd down, finishing with another double-digit tackle game, leading the country in tackles at this point. We traveled to Tuscaloosa, where Alabama somehow had 3 losses on the season already. But this was one team, even if they were 0-9 at this point, I'd still be cautious of. This was one of the more interesting rivalries in the country, a true back and forth. And I was going to do everything in my power to make sure that we would beat Alabama, especially at their place, for bragging rights. And I think I really could have turned this game on its head if I intercepted that pass and took it all the way for a touchdown. Instead, a couple plays later, Alabama would complete this ridiculous catch to tie it up. And at this point, we were fighting for our lives because our offense wasn't able to get anything going. And Alabama was deep in our territory again, this time scoring to go up. You just know how our offense rolls. And we'd get stopped on a critical 3rd down again. After we punted, Alabama would drive down the field, and the field goal would be enough to make it a 2-possession game. So getting stopped on this 4th down was just a formality, as we'd get upset and lose the top spot. We had another strangely placed out-of-conference opponent, but this time it wasn't someone like Old Dominion. It was a formidable Oregon State team that was ranked in the top 25. Our offense wouldn't be able to convert that 3rd down and had to settle for a field goal, so it looked like it was going to be up to the defense to carry us again, and I had no problem with that, as I would take over this drive. I followed up that TFL with the sack, and the very next possession, I would blow the quarterback up as he's throwing it. Oregon State was trying to kick a field goal before the half, but this timely interception would kill their momentum. Unfortunately, our offense couldn't do anything with it, and Oregon State had the ball back again. But I'm telling you, this defense is special, because if the offense wasn't going to score touchdowns, we were going to find a way to put them on the board. And seeing that this score was just before the half, we had every single bit of momentum going into the second half. This is my 3rd TFL of the game, and I'd finished with double-digit tackles once again. If Manti Te'o could be a Heisman finalist, I figured I should be at least in the conversation as well. And I never made up a fake girlfriend, but I couldn't really worry about all my personal accolades too much, because we were the #5 team in the country, and Alabama controlled their fate in the SEC since they beat us in the head-to-head. So we had to do our best to try to embarrass as many teams as possible to have a chance at playing in the national championship. And Texas A&M was on that list, but they're another one of those teams that didn't really look great on paper, but we knew it was going to be a dogfight if we let them stay in it. Thankfully, our offense decided to show up this week and would actually put more than 20 points up on the board. It felt like this team kind of needed that loss to Alabama to put everything back into perspective and humble us a little bit, because we felt like we were unstoppable before that. We were at home again taking on Arkansas for the boot, and they were a team that beat us my freshman year while we enacted revenge on them last season, and we couldn't let them go home with the boot this year. But this is the thing about the SEC, because a 3-8 Arkansas team was beating us in the first half. Thankfully, we were able to close the gap before the break and actually go up in the 3rd quarter. And this next play was a roller coaster of emotions, because on 3rd and 9, they complete a deep pass over the middle, but we'd force a fumble, but they'd be able to jump on it. And the very next play, they'd be able to throw the go-ahead touchdown. You know our offense really isn't built to be playing from behind, but on a huge 4th and 1, we'd convert, and our quarterback would actually look pretty decent. By decent, I mean like Kirk Cousins decent, not Brady or Rodgers. But he would put us back in the lead and lean on the defense to go and win this game. And after I played the screen to perfection, Arkansas quarterback was hit as he threw it and would throw it right into my hands, even though it was 4th down, so it didn't really matter. We were able to just escape with the boot, but unfortunately, Alabama was able to win out and they were going to play in the SEC championship. However, at the award ceremony, I'd go home with 3 trophies and 2 girls. I was on top of the world. And even though we were the #2 team in the country, Wisconsin was placed in the national championship game above us because they won their conference championship. But we had an incredible consolation game in the granddaddy of them all, the Rose Bowl game, and we were taking on Oregon State, who we had played just a few weeks earlier. The last time we played Oregon State, we held them to 0 points, but this time around was a little bit different because they were trying to get their revenge, and in the fourth quarter, they'd actually take the lead. Our offense wasn't able to do anything, and Oregon State just needed 1 first down to ice this game. However, we do more than just hold them, because on this 3rd and 16, the quarterback would be careless and fumble the ball, giving us incredible field position. If there was ever a time for the offense to show up, it was going to be today, and the quarterback would shake the sack and throw an absolute dime to the receiver who would break a tackle on his way to the touchdown. The game was back in the hands of the defense, and we would do what we did best: take the ball away. In 3 years, I had won 7 awards and 3 All-Americans, as well as a national championship, and I was wondering if it was my time to go on to the next level.